Greetings everyone, welcome to ChessAdvancedd. This game was played in clutch champions. With the white pieces, we have the 5 times world champion Magnus Carlsen facing off against the world number 3 Fabiano Caruana, and yesterday Magnus faced a devastating loss to Fabiano, and that was 2-0. So Fabi was really in his top class, and now Magnus has a chance to bounce back, and not only that, he has a chance to win the entire thing if he wins this game alone. But on contrary to all of these things, it's time that he got his revenge. So let's see what he starts with. A knight to f3, he goes for the ready. c5 now, and this is the Sicilian invitation. c4, g6, and just d4. This is the symmetrical opening of English. C captures, knight to c6, and now just going for this e4. And this is the accelerated dragon, by the way. We are just transposing into openings right and left. Hey, just knight to f6 and just knight to c3. d6 now, and bishop to e2. Knight caps on d4, queen captures, bishop to g7, just aligning this very decently. And in this position, you could choose to go for castles, queen to d3, and after bishop to a6, bishop to e6 now, bishop to e3, a6, bishop to d4, and after knight to d7, bishop captures, king captures, b3, and your position should be fine. And you get the rook into the game. Maybe you can give some chance, maybe you can also go for all of these things, and your position should be fine. But here, after bishop to g7, bishop to e3 was played, just developing more pieces, and here just castles. Queen to d2, a5, and now just going for castles as well. a4 in this position, taking up more and more space in Magnus's camp. And will Magnus allow it? Well, Magnus just goes like rook after d1. He's like, well, I'll just take the center, I'll just develop the pieces. You're behind on development, you haven't connected your rooks. It's gonna be, well, not that easy for you. Bishop to e6, that's why he goes for, but just bishop to d4. And you could just put some pressure here, with the pawn, and here queen to a5 was played by Fabi, trying to transpose the queen towards the king side, maybe start an attack, maybe trying to, also help out with the defense with the same move. Queen to e3, but just knight to d7 in this position, asking for a trade. And should Magnus trade this? Well, absolutely not, because he's the one in the driver's seat. Why would you trade a piece that's, not even bothered to move here, just sitting there calmly acting as a defender, while yours is much more powerful, sitting in the center of the board, eyeing everything? Obviously you shouldn't. But after h4 here, just h5 was played. h4 and h5 you could have gone for. Knight to d5, you go bishop captures, e captures, queen to b4, and maybe just queen to c3, asking for a trade. And after trading, you play this knight to c5. So with this line, I mean, you could have actually survived this, and you may have some chances to be able to hold on to this position. Maybe you play g3, just get the king forward. Endgame is about due, and what will happen is, basically, even if you trade this, you'll just give me a center. You can try to put some pressure on the double pawn, but I have a light square bishop and I have the bishop pair, so anything gonna happen here, I'm the one gonna be doing it. But here after knight to d7, knight to d5 was played. Now just comes bishop captures on g7, king captures, and just e caps on d5. You could have also gone for this rook caps on d5 that comes with an attack towards the queen, and after queen goes to c7, you play even e5. And e5, you must be thinking, what is this? I mean, you're just giving a pawn for free. What the hell are you doing? If you go for this knight caps on e5, then I have even c5, and that's a beautiful move. Rook after d8. Now you just go for c caps on d6, e captures, rook to c1 in this position, attacking the queen. And only once the queen moves, now you play bishop to f1. Just get the bishop out of the way, because queen is gonna have to move somewhere along the line, and you don't want the bishop to be hanging. So here after knight to c6, asking for a trade again, you go for queen to a3. Just put some pressure here, maybe just get the rooks doubled, put more pressure here, as long as that rook is out of the way. Central and towards the queen side here, you would have much more command than black will have. So I think that's what Magnus is banking on. But after king caps on g7, e caps on d5 was played, not going for all of this. Queen to b6 and queen to c3 check. And now just going for knight to f6. And you can see with this structure that currently you have, your rooks are connected, but they're not targeting anything. Queen is there on b6, knight is there, and if you see white's pieces, they are doing very much, and they are much more active than black's pieces, and that's going to help out Magnus. Here he goes for rook to d4, and now rook to d4 is a multi-purpose move. You can also go ahead, if you feel like it, you can also transpose your queen, and you can have some chances for a very nice attack in this position. Maybe you can push h4, h5, and you would have much higher chances, because bishop is also controlling that h5 square. But here rook f to c8, and now everything you're banking in is maybe pushing a3, maybe having some chances, but b3, and I just solve all my problems. But here rook a to d1, rook to c5 now, and g4. And Magnus, that's why he pushed all of those things. H4, h5, g4, g5, all of these things are there at the horizon here. Queen to a5, asking for a trade. No way in hell Magnus trades this. He goes for g5, or he should have gone for g5, because here after knight to d7, now queen to a3, and after knight to f8 you play h4. And this attack would have been very, very nice if Magnus had gone for, but this is just a line I'm showing you, but I tricked you. But here just queen to d3, and after queen to b4 you just play this rook to d2, you play a waiting move, and you can see that Magnus's position is amazing. Knight can help out with the defense, but it can do for just so long, and that's the thing. But here after g4, king to g8 was played by Fabi, and king to g8 is a waste of a tempo in this position. Yes, it seems like you're just getting out of the way, but well, there are some more issues at hand. What is that rook doing on a8? Well, I have those rooks on the d file. I have g4, g5 is coming in. I can swiftly move the rook over. Bishop is already controlling this. Queen can get active, and in this position you are like, well, let me just get the king out of the way for that attack that could happen potentially 5 moves later. But that's not supposed to. You're not supposed to be doing that. Here just h4, rook to e8, and now just comes g5. So Magnus playing all of the moves that I showed you in a different line, but he just knight to d7, and now just comes rook to e4. So he is slowly but slowly taking away all the squares from the pieces of Fabi, and Fabi, once he goes down on the clock, it's going to be very difficult for him to come back from it, because one blunder and Magnus will take over. And here queen to c7, and now just comes this queen to e3. You could have also gone for b3 in this position. I mean, just takes and go b5, and here just h5. G captures, you play queen to f3, and after knight to f8, trying to defend everything, but here just going for queen caps on f5. I mean, I can go here, so here, I mean, knight to g6 is basically forced in this position. You have to go for it because you have to cover this, but king to g2, and now I have rook to h1. There are some chances for me to go there. Queen to d7, just rook to h1, and you're gonna have to go for queen to f5 in this position. That's the only defensive resource you have, because you want that to be covered, and you're gonna have to move the knight away. So that's the only thing in this position. But here after queen to c7, queen to e3 was played, and now just comes b5, maybe trying to create some counterplay. But here just going for b4, attacking the rook, but just a captures on b3 en passant. A captures, b caps on c4, b4 in this position, and rook moves. And here just going for rook caps on c4, attacking the queen. Queen to b7 now, trying to target the pawn once the rook moves, but here just going for rook to c7, attacking the queen and the knight. You got to save it somehow, but here queen captures on c7 was played, but Magnus in this position just goes for this, picks up the bishop. Now you create a pass pawn. Will you be able to hold on to it? Rook to b8, trying to eliminate it as soon as possible, but here just going for rook to c1 first, a swish and soak, attacking the queen. You got to move the queen. Queen to d8 was played, but now just comes this bishop captures, queen captures, queen to d4, and is this pass pawn going to be enough for Magnus to get his victory and that sweet taste of revenge finally after a bad day too? Queen to f5 was played, but now just comes rook to c7, e5, and here just going for d caps on e6 en passant. Queen captures, and just rook to c6, h6, and here rook caps on d6. So now that pass pawn is a really, really strong piece. But Magnus's king is a little bit weak as well. So can Fabi maybe just trade rooks and make it a queen endgame and much harder for Magnus, and maybe go for a perpetual draw? Well, we just kind of have to see. Queen to e1 check, king to g2, h caps on g5, h captures, queen to e7, and now just going for rook to d5. And here in this position, just queen to b7, king to g1, queen to c7, b5, queen to c1 check, king to g2, queen to c7, and just rook to d7. And here Fabi can do nothing but wait and see if how Magnus and when will he come, with what move will he come, and he's just gonna have to suffer for the rest of it. And unfortunately, while waiting, now his position is completely deteriorated and the endgame is completely winning, and it will still take a few more moves. Queen to b6 was played, asking for a trade, and Magnus happily obliges, because he rook to d5, and now he has an outside pass pawn, but still he got to convert this. f6 was played, and now just comes f4, f captures, king to f7, but he just going for king to f3, king to e6, king to e4, and rook to b8 was played, but now just comes rook to c5, king to d7, king to d5, and with every move the hope is going away. I mean, I can do whatever I want in this endgame. Rook to f8, just b6, rook to f5 check, king goes back, and here just going for rook to f1, but just b7 was played, rook to c1 check, king to b5, and it was on this move, on just move 57, that Fabiano Caruana resigned the game, and Magnus got the spectacular victory. Well, why he resigned? Because there is nothing. You can give a few checks, but other than that you don't have much. You go here, I go here, and you cannot trade. Obviously you're gonna have to go back. I'll just push the king forward. Next move I'm promoting. All you can do is just simply watch, and your entire position just crumbles right before your eyes. So yeah, I mean, Magnus has gotten the first game, but will he be able to get the second one? Because you have to understand that Fabi did, I mean, crush him 2-0. So, sweet revenge is only sweet once you absolutely demolish your opponent. So, we're just gonna have to wait and see, and I'll be covering that as well. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be coming back with some of these amazing games, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you very, very much for watching.